Hello, and welcome to a podcast from the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. This is Ann DeSantis, Executive Director. It's great to be here with you on this podcast. This is our series for adult children of divorce. Actually, it's the 12 virtues for adult children of divorce. And we're kind of headed toward the end of this series. So I encourage all of you who are watching to go back and watch some of the previous episodes that we've done on the topic, because these are virtues that are not just for people affected by separation or divorce. They're really for anybody. But since this podcast series is for you who are watching, you who have been affected by divorce or separation in some way, shape, or form, and we pick adult children of divorce because there are so many families where the kids are affected. Of course, in our ministry, we really gear it toward those who are over the age of 18. So if somebody's watching this podcast and you're under 18, I would say make sure that you're accompanied by an adult. Now, for this podcast, we're going to focus on the virtue of affability. Affability is our openness with others, our friendliness, the way that we interact, the way that we are open to the needs of other people. It's not a virtue that is talked about quite as often in the church. It was originally brought about and studied and discussed in the Summa Theologica by St. Thomas Aquinas. And I myself have actually written on this topic. I wrote a book, and I will mention this just in case any of you are interested. The name of the book is called The Virtue of Affability or Friendliness, and its relevance in modern evangelization. And if you want to get that book or just find out more, all you need to do is to go to En Route Publishing's website, and it's spelled EN space ROUTE. And in fact, if you just key those words in, En Route Publishing and affability, then you will be able to see the book and see what I've brought about and what I've studied in order to bring this virtue to light for many people. I do think that this is a virtue that can help our world. It can help the church, because in a world that's torn by division, affability is that way that we interact, the smile that we give to a stranger, the good deed that we do for someone in need. And for someone like you, who is the adult child of divorce, it is something that can bring about some healing, both in your life and in the lives of those around you, your parents, your siblings, your aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever that is. Because when a family goes through a separation or divorce, even though the divorce is between the couple, it does affect everyone in their circle, everyone in their community. It is true. So, affability, many of the saints have modeled after this particular virtue. One of those saints is Saint Teresa of Calcutta. And so many of you are familiar with her and what she said, the fact that what a smile can do, bringing a smile to a stranger, doing a kind deed. She devoted herself, of course, to the poorest of the poor. Those people in our lives who need support are a lot closer than we think. They could be someone in your family. Maybe it's your parents. You're an adult child of divorce. Maybe one of your parents is a person who needs that extra support. It also helps us to foster love and growth and faith in our families when we're able to offer ourselves in friendship. And it also helps to, as I said, heal division. Anytime that there is a family breakup, and I mean, I've learned this a lot through the work that I do in the foundation. Those family breakups really can cause relationships to suffer. And so when we pray about affability and how can we become more affable, that is a way that we can foster faith and healing in our own family and our own circles. So I mentioned St. Teresa of Calcutta. There's other ones, and they're mentioned in my book, Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, Blessed Carlo Acutis. There are going to be new saints in this Jubilee year, where I'm taping this in the winter of 2025. And they were saints who definitely were able to open themselves up to others. Blessed Carlo Acutis was always very concerned for his friends and people that he went to school with. And I know that in reading about him, He did have a great love of those who were affected by divorce and separation, too. And so he's a great saint for us to intercede to, as well as Pier Giorgio Frassati, who was a saint more toward the very beginning of the 20th century. He died in, I believe, like 1924 at the age of 24. And I would say that for all of you watching, he's a great saint for you to learn about. He was a little bit like Saint Teresa of Calcutta, and that he also cared about those people who were marginalized, people who didn't have enough money for medicine, people who were sick, people who didn't have friends. He visited people quite a bit. In fact, he contracted an illness, the illness that eventually would kill him, from one of those elderly people who was kind of begging him to help her with getting medicine. And that's exactly what he did. He visited her before his death. There's so much more to tell with that. So research these saints because they were ones that exhibited the virtue of affability. St. Thomas Aquinas, as I said, he's the one that wrote about it in the Summa Theologica. That's a lot to read. You don't have to read all of it, but definitely research him and research what he said about the affable spirit and being friendly and being kind. It's a little bit different than just being nice to someone. When you're affable, you do care about them. Sometimes when you hear about people who are nice, they're nice for their own reasons, right? It's not always for the good of the other. You can be nice to someone and kind of, I hate to say, but stab them in the back at the same time. That's not what being affable is about. It's about having good intentions. So when we're kind and affable to someone, this is a way that we can grow, and a way that we can grow after the effects of divorce in our own families. In addition, I would ask the question to all of you and even to myself, like, how do we grow in affability? And I think the most important way that we can grow in this virtue is to pray. Prayer is really that gateway, that relationship with God that we have on a daily basis. You can pray at all times. You don't have to be in front of the Blessed Sacrament in Eucharistic adoration to pray, or even at Mass. You can pray in your room. You can pray in your car. You can pray with other people. You can pray your rosary wherever you are. Of course, one of those great ways to pray, as I just mentioned, is to go to a Eucharistic Adoration Chapel. I know at my own parish, we have one, and I'm just so grateful to my pastor and to our community that we have that. So taking the time to do a holy hour, going to daily mass and offering up your intentions for someone else in need. We always know someone who's in need, don't we? And so these are things that we can do to foster affability. We can pray to be more friendly people. You know, not everybody has that naturally sort of like that outgoing personality. Some people are a little more quiet. It's not really about your demeanor. It's not about, your natural sort of personality, because you can be an affable person, an open person, without being that super extroverted kind of individual. And I do believe that we can learn to be more affable. So, in that meaning, step outside of yourself and learning to ask yourself the question when you're in prayer: how can I make outreach to someone that I know in my community? Maybe it's somebody in your own home. Maybe it's a brother or sister, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, your own parents. As I said, this podcast is for adult children of divorce. So prayer is really that initial gateway of how we can become more affable people. Another way is just to smile at others. And I'm not talking about smiling where it's an uncomfortable thing. You want to do it in a natural way, but don't be afraid to make eye contact with people. I know that sometimes, even when I sort of like, go to church or daily mass, or be in a situation, maybe a party or something like that, and you know, I think we tend to get comfortable with the people that we like, people that we feel good around, people that we know. But the way that we can grow in this virtue is to go outside of ourselves. So being friendly, having a positive demeanor. And it starts with ourselves, doesn't it? I mean, it starts with our thoughts, our thought process every day, being positive people. And I'm not talking about like just the power of positive thinking, because we know that's kind of against our faith, because we know that as Catholics, we are going to encounter the cross. So it's not a rejection of the cross, but it's having a better outlook on your daily life in the way that you see others. So I would just say open yourself up to that. Doing kind deeds for others. You sometimes you see that bumper sticker. I've seen it before, like to doing kind deeds, but not really doing it to make any type of announcement. Hey, I just did something nice for somebody, right? But doing a kind deed just for God's sake. Maybe that's just when you're driving, letting someone come out, when you're in a long line of traffic and waving someone on that they can go ahead of you. That's a simple way that you can be kind. Holding the door for someone, a stranger, saying thank you. I think we're in a culture right now where we forget the little things. We forget to say thank you for something that someone has done for us. Maybe we can write a note in the mail. That's such a rare thing anymore, isn't it? Just writing that thank you note in the mail, or remembering someone on their birthday. There's really very little things that we can do that make a huge difference. Sort of like Saint Therese of Lisieux, which is another saint that I mention in my book, The Virtue of Affability or Friendliness and Its Relevance in Modern Evangelization, is that she exercised that every day of her life. Even though she was a cloistered nun, she encountered people every day. She encountered the sisters who were kind of hard to deal with sometimes. And we have that in our own lives. And I know for you who are watching this podcast, someone affected by divorce or separation, we've dealt with people who are hard to deal with. And so I think that when we do those little kind acts for people, that is a way that we can grow in this particular virtue. Another way is that we can try to make new friends. I think that in our culture here in the United States, of course, where I'm taping this podcast, where I'm from here in Pennsylvania, we become people of habit. I think we're used to the people that we went to school with, who we live in the same neighborhoods with. Maybe we went to a certain college or university and we're friends with people from that school, people that we go to church with that we're very comfortable with, at mass, at the same mass that we go to every Sunday or daily mass. But we don't go outside of ourselves to people very close by who might need a friend. And that is a way that we can exercise this virtue. And why is this virtue important for an adult child of divorce? It's important because it helps to foster your own healing, right? Your healing that you're still searching for with your family, with the family breakup. And the more that we imitate Christ in our everyday actions, Christ was an affable person. When we do that, we can bring healing not only to our own lives, but to those around us. And maybe, just maybe, even to your parents. They might not never get back together again, right? They're probably divorced or annulled, and things are not going to go backwards, but you can help to foster better relationships in your family. Remember, it's always about the present moment, right? We can reflect on the past, but we don't want to stay there. And that's really what our foundation is all about. We are all about trying to help you to move forward after one of these situations happens in your life. So I said making new friends. Now, I also want to mention, because I think it is important for anybody who's affected by a tragedy or something in the family that has caused some kind of crisis or adversity, is to seek therapy. One of the services that we offer in our foundation is free pastoral consultations or spiritual direction with a Mercedarian friar. They are our priest. All you need to do is go to our website at nonnatus.org, reach out to me, and make your free appointment. Great news, you can have as many of those appointments as you need. So if you need 1, 2, 3, or more, they're always free. You don't need to worry about paying. We're a nonprofit. Of course, we always accept donations. We have a donate button right on the website. We appreciate your donations. That's the way that we continue to go on in our ministry. So, we would just ask you to consider making that appointment. Now, sometimes you need more than just talking to a priest or someone like me who's an executive director for a nonprofit. maybe you need to talk to a professional therapist. And on our website, we do have a several recommended therapists. If you go to our website, to the helpful resources page, we have an outside resource page, and on the bottom, close to the bottom, we have a spiritual directors and counselors that you can make an appointment with. I have to mention that this is not a free service, so you would have to find out from them what what they charge. I know at least one of them takes insurance, but I'm not sure about the others. I don't think they do. But if you would like to get a Catholic or a Christian therapist, we do have some recommended ones on our website. So this is the virtue of affability. It's one that you don't hear that much about. And I do hope that you learn more about it. Like I said, you can get my book if you want. It is available on Amazon and Kindle, on that website, which is En route publishing. Just key it into uh, your search engine, affability, and if you even keyed in affability, my name, and DeSantis, it will pop up to go to that website. Just in case, I just want to mention that in case you would like to learn more about that particular virtue. Now, I'd like to invite you also to watch those other podcasts in this series. This is our 12 ways to heal, the 12 virtues for adult children of divorce. And after this series, we'll have another series for something to do with a family crisis. So just keep an eye, subscribe to our Philly Nonnatus YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for your watching this video. And I ask you to also share it with a friend, share it with someone that you know. Maybe you're not an adult child of divorce, but you know someone who is, or this is even appropriate for the couples because they can share it with their children and people in their lives. So I wish you a wonderful year. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. We are the first Tuesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Philly Nonnatus YouTube channel. God bless and see you then.